Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Renatus J.A.M. My name is Jay Stark, and it is my pleasure to introduce my fearless co-host,
Mr. Matt Snyder.
Mr. Matt Snyder.
Thank you.
I didn't really introduce you. I guess I left time for your introduction.
Yeah. Yep. Thank you for that.
Instead, I just said I left time, and then I pointed to you, and you say your own name, and yeah, that's fun.
It worked.
We
did it.
It's
One of these days, we're gonna get it right, though.
maybe. Don't.
What episode is this? What are we at?
131.
31.
There you go. We still got a ways.
We do. We got some time to figure this out.
Yeah.
Once we hit episode 2000, we should have it dialed in. I think
so too.
All right.
I'll be good at podcasting by then.
Let's hope.
Yeah, one could only hope.
One can only hope. With 30 years of practice, he finally got it down.
Finally figured it out.
Just in time.
Hey, I'm slow, but I get there.
Hey, so. That's my thing. That's funny.
It's your thing to be slow?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen you drive.
Oh, what does that mean? I don't know what that means.
You're slow?
I'm a slow driver?
Well, I guess it's all relative. You're slower than faster drivers.
Yeah, but then I would be faster than slower.
Well,
okay. Before we start going down,
the IQ of this podcast has gone down significantly,
and we are all dumber for having heard your answer.
Right?
All right, so let's get into this, Mr. Snyder. What's new and exciting?
The newness is nationals. The exciting is nationals.
Nationals.
I can't wait for nationals.
Nationals.
Both for it to come and to pass, but it's a weird conundrum because when it's passed, it feel like I really get to the end of it, and it's like, oh, but it's over.
But it's over now.
But it's like the point in which you look forward to because it's a lot of stress and a lot to put together. But you get to the back end, and it's like, oh man, it's over. Like we're not gonna have another one for a year.
So, did you catch the last Founders Live?
Yes.
Did you hear all of the incredible announcements that Bob laid out?
I did, but don't ask me.
But don't ask you.
Because so much takes place.
Yeah.
So many conversations.
He can't remember which one's across the line.
I can't remember what I can say and what I can't say.
Well, here's what Bob laid out. Laid out.
Come on.
Outlaid.
Yeah, you got this.
Sure. 2000, episode 2000. I'm just looking forward to the day. And I'm going to get there.
Yeah.
But Bob laid out that there are several announcements that are coming at the national conference, not the least of which is Saladio.
Yes.
He talked about, 4 years ago, by the time we get to the national, it will have been 4 years ago when we introduced Saladio. And now we are taking Saladio to the next level. And everybody who is coming to the national conference is going to have a very unique opportunity to get involved.
Hint, hint, be there. Trust me.
Yeah, you are definitely going to want to be there for everyone. Now, we say that every single week. Be there.
Yep.
It is those people who are intentional about their opportunity with Renatus that get in early, that get their seat selected, that get to qualify for all of the early bird bonuses, ensure that they've got a seat for the banquet, they get their commemorative t-shirt because only the first 500 registrants are going to get t-shirts, and all of that fun stuff. So be serious about it. Get serious about it. Make sure that you get your accommodations now. Get your tickets. Do not miss this opportunity to be part of it's going to be a landmark in our history, this national conference.
Yeah, this one's huge. Like we said before, I mean, every year we're like, yeah, you should go to the national. It's really But this one is different. And we say that every year. And I mean it every year. But this one's really different.
This one is really, really different. This one will contain the potential energy that has been released in every nationals up to now combined.
Yep.
Imagine every national that we've had, all of the reveals, all of the opportunities, all of the takeaways combined into one national. That's what this national is going to be.
Be there.
Be there.
Yep, that's all.
March
all the advice
21st
I got for you.
through the 23rd. We are going to open registration on Wednesday evening. So on the evening of the 20th, you can come in and check in at the event. This is going to be at the front of the Davis Conference Center. You can come, you can check in, get your name tag,
swag bag,
get your swag bag, get all your things, and then that way on Thursday morning you don't have to stand in line to check in. You can just walk right in.
By the way, this is the way. That is how you do it right there. That is how you do it, because there will be a giant pile up of people at the door trying to get in Thursday morning.
Yep.
There will be, ushers that will not allow people in without their registration, without their name badge and stuff. So
dude,
you got to do it the night before if you can.
The excitement of the National, with everybody all together in one place at one time, it only happens once a year. But don't miss the opportunity to network while you're here.
Yep.
Meet those individuals from all over the country, and don't do it while you're standing in line.
Yeah.
Have the ability to get in there, get checked in the night before. That way, the next morning, you can come, you can mix, you can mingle before the National even starts, and then be there for the very first minute instead of waiting in line with those people who maybe weren't able to come in the night before.
That's right.
So
yeah, it's almost like first class while everybody else is. You just sit there while everybody else is getting on the plane. You're already in your seat, just ready to go.
Look at you.
Yeah,
Mr. I Fly First Class.
I did it once. No, I've done that. I've done it more than that, but I don't remember. It's not very often. Usually I'm the one that's walking past first class.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. And
you're looking at
as everybody is like, oh, peasants.
Oh man. Well, I tell you what, the National Conference is going to truly be a life-changing opportunity and experience for every participant who comes ready.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, get your tickets now. Get registered now. Save your seat. Do not delay. Do not postpone. Everybody likes to wait until the very last minute. I have no idea why. It's human nature to just put it off until it can't be put off anymore. Don't be that guy. Be deliberate about what you are doing. Be deliberate about getting your ticket early and making sure that your seat is saved.
Agreed. Yep.
So, we actually, you know what? I'm gonna give a little reveal. Today we're sending out an email that is highlighting our 3 keynote speakers.
Oh. And you're going to reveal them on this podcast?
I might as well. I mean, we're sending out an email today.
Well, let's do it.
So we have 3 keynote speakers for this National. Now, 2 of them aren't really going to be a surprise, and the third one may be a little bit of a surprise, but you guys are going to absolutely love hearing from him.
Oh, yeah.
The first 2 are, of course, Bob Snyder.
Uh-huh.
He is going to be headlining each day. He is going to be keynoting, and he is going to share incredible insights, information, opportunity, and reframing that is going to absolutely change not just your opportunity inside of Renatus, but also with Saladio.
Yep.
Second, also not a surprise, Woody Woodward is going to be there, and he is going to be sharing as well just an insane amount of information content and doing a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Last up, this is the one that most people don't know about, is Mr. Troy Dunn. We are going to have Troy come and keynote on the 3rd day, and he is going to share how to share a story impactfully.
Yes.
And if you've ever listened to Troy, you know that man is the king of impactful storytelling.
Oh, he could be a professional comedian like tomorrow.
It is so.
And I say that with the knowledge of what that would take to be a comedian, right? Like, it's not easy at all. But as a matter of fact, the hardest I've ever laughed in an audience was him speaking. He can tell a story. Oh gosh. I mean, I really mean it when I say, like, I don't know if I know a better storyteller from stage.
I don't know that I've ever heard a better storyteller.
Yeah. That's
not just know and seen and listened to, but I'm telling you.
Oh yeah.
He is going to craft a presentation that is going to absolutely not just inspire you, not just make you laugh and cry in the same story, but he's going to give you the tools to be able to tell your story with the same level of force.
Yep. Yeah, you're not going to want to miss it. And oh man, do I hope he tells that story of him traveling to LAX or to an audition or whatever.
Oh my
Is his TV show still on Hulu?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And his story is that's a funny story.
Yeah, that story had me in stitches, but like the way he told it, because if I were to even repeat the story, it
would not carry the same level.
It wouldn't. And it's him that, like the way he structures it is just so good. Anyways, you should just another reason you should be at the National, go get registered.
Yes.
Look forward to seeing you.
Be at the National. Not only will you get an opportunity to hear from our keynote speakers, but you're going to get the opportunity to hang out with both of us.
Yeah, buddy.
You'll get to, take pictures, high five.
Yep.
Just get a opportunity to talk with, hear from, all those fun things. But we have so many impactful presenters coming to the National Conference. I'm not even going to list them all off here, but it's going to be It's going to be amazing. Matt is going to be presenting.
Yep.
He will. I'm going to do a little presentation as well, a little song and dance for you.
Yes, you will.
Yep. And then, it's going to be awesome.
It's cool.
It's going to be really, really cool. All right. The other thing that I just wanted to talk about, and I can actually use this as we segue in to our next segment, because we have segments on our podcast now.
Mm-hmm.
He's looking at me like, segments? Really?
I don't know. I'm just rolling with it. Yeah, we got segments now.
There you go. Roll with it.
Yeah.
Roll with it, baby. All right, here we go. So, Renatus is such an amazing opportunity. And I say that from my own personal experience.
Yeah.
Renatus has changed my life. The tools, the processes, the systems that are in place, I have been able to apply and been able to change my future and thereby change my children's future. The language that we use in our home has completely changed from before Renatus until after, and now. Right. I should say after, but with Renatus.
Right. I know what you meant.
And I absolutely love who we are, what we represent, and what our mission is, which is to empower people.
Yeah.
Our entire mission statement is surrounding the idea of empowering individuals, empowering people. And our featured guest for today is a representation of that empowerment. He went from being a full-time employee with Renatus to then being able to embrace the Renatus education, not just embrace it to the point where he moved on from being a full-time employee with Renatus, but now is an honored instructor teaching multiple classes for Renatus. And this Friday, he's going to come out and re-record the Velocity Banking course impactfully, with humor, with wit, with intelligence, with compassion, and in such a way that every single participant is going to walk away empowered to be able to employ the strategy on their own.
Yes.
That is our only Mr. Randall Cloud.
Well, thanks for having me here. I was going to kind of phone it in on Friday, but I guess with that introduction, maybe I'll come prepared to be.
Something.
Yeah. Okay, fine. I'll do it.
You know what, though? You probably could phone it in at this point with how many times you've presented, discussed.
Do me a favor. Let us not phone it in.
Well,
okay, fine.
I just mean like... He's such a extensive
I completely
database
agree.
Of knowledge when it comes to this.
One of my favorite aspects of your teaching style is the way that you systematize all of your processes.
Thanks.
I remember watching you up at the Everest Real Estate Conference. Was it last April, or last summer? I think it was like June or something.
It was. Yeah. It was like June of this year.
It was definitely a day in the year that it happened on.
June of 23.
Very good. June of 23. So Randall came up and kind of did a pinch hit where one of our instructors fell out last minute. He kind of came up and without very much time to prepare, did an entire segment on short-term rentals, which is your other class with Renatus, and had people absolutely clamoring for more.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, it was a good time. I had fun up there.
Oh, dude, it was awesome. The way that you systematized and put into place the process, you had people just begging for more.
That Q&A went how long over with people asking all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it was great. I actually wished that I would have had the chance to see you speak, because you spoke that Saturday and I had to take Chris Albin home.
Oh, that's right.
I remember because
that's right.
Because I wanted to see you do your thing. But
well, let me just tell
heard
you,
good things from everybody. Yeah, I heard it from everybody.
He did so good that I really can visualize now how short-term rentals can take the place of the first investor strategy even before wholesaling.
Yeah. Yep.
That's how good he did.
Lower financial bar to entry. It's just more knowledge. Like, you just need to know what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about your transition going from employee number one with Renatus to then moving into full-time real estate investor and then becoming so well versed.
Why did you do what we teach? I mean, that's really, you left us.
The real question is, how can you not, right? Like, yeah. So, Jay, as you said, like, I kind of started out employee number one here at Renatus, got this company going, and at the time didn't really know that much. I was fortunate enough to shortly thereafter get married to a lovely woman who, her background was certainly in real estate. And I mean, not her background, but her family's background was in real estate investing. So that was kind of the natural course that both of us were like, oh yeah, we're going to get rentals, whatever, do that. But the plan that
we're going to get rentals,
whatever.
Yeah.
No big thing.
and it really wasn't at the time. But in large part because we were doing it the old, slow, traditional way, right? Like how other real estate investors do it, or non-educated investors. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a great way to do it. I know lots of people in my life, in my neighborhood, that have, one or two casual rentals here and there.
Great kind of long-term strategy.
Yeah, it's awesome. And that was great for years. But, you don't really need any special education to do that. You just go apply for loans, you go buy a house, retail on the market. But it's also slow. It doesn't get you where you're going as fast as maybe I would like to be. And, you spend years, month after month doing, and especially in the early days of Renatus, for those that don't know, when we first opened the doors in Renatus, we had to go film all these classes. Like it was a class like every week. We were constantly filming classes. And in the first few months, it was really Jay and me editing the videos. So we didn't even have a videographer. We didn't have video editors. It was just us.
We had a videographer. It was you guys.
Yeah. Yep. And man, are we so professional at it.
So professional.
So it really was a lot of us having to rewatch the class over and over again. And then on the day of the recording, we had to be in the studio listening to the instructor, being with the audience, then talking to these people at the breaks.
Right.
And then you go from an experience like that into our very first national conference, where for the first time I had the opportunity to meet people from all across the country who were part of this company. I had talked to some of them on the phone, but I could not have fathomed the scale of how many lives were being affected out there across the country.
Right.
Until so many of them came into one location and I got the opportunity to see them face to face, to talk to them. And the coolest part is to hear their stories, right? Mm-hmm. And you got to hear stories from everyone. People who were just starting that week, they had heard about Renatus, got signed up, whatever. But hear from people who 2 months ago took their first Renatus class, watched their first courses online, and already, in those 2 months since that point, have now made a whole bunch of money or acquired, 3 new properties or closing on their very first deal this week. Whatever it was, I just kept hearing story after story and hearing the instructors teach and then cutting their videos where you had to listen to the same thing. I mean, when you're cutting the video, you have to listen to the same thing like 18 times as you, prepare the class or whatever, and especially because we didn't know what we were doing. I'm sure our current videographer doesn't have to watch it quite as many times because he's a little better at it.
Yeah.
But man, we really had to go through it. And eventually you just can't help but wonder, like, why am I not doing that? And so I would take that home all the time and tell my wife, we got to be doing more. We can be doing more. Like, we don't have to do this slow route of getting properties. We could go apply all of the stuff I learned in creative acquisitions from Chris Albin. Let's go hit the road with that, and I'm going to try it. And in the beginning, she was like, I don't know, I'm not sure, because she didn't get she could. She didn't watch the education. She wasn't around the people. She didn't hear those stories. And so she didn't have the same drive I had, I guess. It was really what it came down to. And she was willing to support me, but it didn't feel like the right moment. But eventually, after enough time, couldn't help it anymore and ended up trying to do that. So I rewatched a lot of the classes with fresh eyes, really tried to learn everything I could about them, and went out there and started using creative strategies to acquire real estate without putting any of my own money in. without having to use my credit. Our very first deal that we ever got using these creative strategies was a subject to seller finance deal. And so 0 of my money went in, 0 of my credit went in, a lot of my time went in.
Yeah.
And, you know, that just led one thing to another. And eventually it became very clear that I could not build that real estate empire at the same time as being a full-time employee. And so, I mean, it was a really hard decision because I love Renatus. I mean, I'm still here today. Why am I here? I don't work here anymore. Yeah. I love Renatus, and I love what Renatus does, and I loved what I had the chance to be a part of. And it was really hard to leave that and to feel like I wasn't going to be part of changing people's lives anymore.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I had my own life and my own family to consider and try and go out there and build the empire that I wanted to be able to build so that, like you said, so you can change your kids' future and your kids' life and the way that we talk about things in our family. So I did that, and it was great. I completed a couple dozen fix and flips over the course of 2 or 3 years shortly after leaving Renatus. I ended up realizing that fix and flips were a good way to make money. It was not something I was ever personally passionate about.
Right.
I loved the design process. I loved when the house was done. Hated everything in between.
Yeah.
Oh, and I loved when the money came into my account. But
of course.
Very beginning, end part, I hated managing the people. We really didn't like one of our weaknesses as real estate investors was that we are too quick to try and give away all of our potential profit back to other people.
Yeah.
Whether that's to the contractors, whether that's to the money lenders, whether that's to the person we're buying the house from or the person we're selling the house to.
Yeah.
Explain a little more about that. Like, what do you mean by that?
So, for example, you might secure a deal where, based on the numbers, and this is what you have to do, right? You kind of work backwards, especially when you're working from a fix and flip. You say, here's how much we think we could sell the house for. Mm-hmm. Here's everything it's going to cost and holding costs and the rehab and everything like that. And you kind of work backwards to this is how much we would need to buy it from. Mm-hmm. And you take it to the person and the deal either works or it doesn't, right? Mm-hmm. If they're like, I'm not willing to sell it for that price, that's fine. The deal doesn't have to work. We would sometimes get into positions like that where then we would realize later on, oh, well, we actually have the potential to make even more money than what we originally thought. You know, either the market has changed or there's new comps available. And because of that, we do stupid stuff like go back and give them more money on buying the house, or I don't know. I can't even explain, just stupid stuff all the time.
So one of my tendencies was always to build the house that I would live in.
Yes, that too.
And
that to me was one of the biggest flaws in my own personal thing is, that one really cool faucet or that one really cool doorknob is only $200. And when you're standing to make a minimum of $20,000 in a deal, who cares if I spend extra $200 to make this really cool thing?
That's when it's a hobby, not a business, right?
And that doorknob ain't going to get you $200 more on the back end selling it, right?
Right.
And that's fine if it was a single doorknob. But when it's, this $200 thing and this $200 thing and this thing and this thing, and all of a sudden you've given away $10,000 in cool things that the person who buys the house is going to love forever, but they're certainly not going to pay any more money for it. You're not going to have made any more money for it. And I gave away all my profit in doing that.
Yep.
And so, we made money in fix and flips. It was great. It just wasn't for me ultimately. And fortunately, because of the education, because of the money we made, I was blessed to have the opportunity to take a 6 to 9 month hiatus in my life and not really do anything to make money and just sit back and try and figure out, what do I want to do with the rest of my life? I have all of this Renatus education in front of me. I also have other thoughts and ideas of businesses I want to create and run. Where do I go from here? And kind of started exploring and playing around with different options and different things. And ultimately that path, after, a couple months of that, led me back to this thought that I kept having. It just kept kind of popping up in my head. Never really even a conscious thought until I said it out loud to my wife one night. And that was, I think I need to look into short-term rentals more. I had been told about short-term rentals before, but I thought, I live in Utah and I'm not going to go, I'm not one of those investors that's going to fly around the country and, get short-term rentals everywhere or buy properties.
What are you doing next week?
I know, that's why I'll laugh.
I'm flying to a different state to get short-term rentals in a different state. But at the time I was like, I'm not that type of investor, right? So I'm here in Utah and nobody wants to come to Utah. So why would I have vacation rentals in Utah?
Turns out everybody wants to come to Utah.
I mean, just the fact that I have 11 rentals that happen to be within, 5 minutes of, there's this company that puts on a national event every year and they put it in this one location, and I have 11 short-term rentals that just happen to be within 5 minutes of the Davis Conference
I was
Center.
actually going to ask, do you have vacancies for the National?
Oh, I have no idea. I'd have to go check a calendar.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you, last year I had 3 different people last year book places of mine up in Clearfield over the dates of the National Conference, and I don't think anything of that, but on certain marketplaces, they ask the guests to say why they're coming to town, and most people will write just family or personal or business or work or something. And I had 3 different people that wrote something along the lines of a real estate convention.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to each of them and I was like, are you happen to be coming in town for Renatus National Conference? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, cool, I'll see you there. Anyway, awesome. So that kind of led to that, and that led to everything I did with short-term rentals. And short-term rentals have been so much more something that I feel like fits me in every way, shape, and form.
Oh, it does. It totally does.
And when you look at the whole giving a $200 faucet, away kind of a thing.
Yeah, now it's like it makes sense.
Now it actually makes sense.
Yeah.
If you go spend just a little bit of extra more time, care, and energy into the place to make it that much cooler, that gets directly reflected in your reviews and the likelihood of people wanting to return and even wanting to pay more because it has these cooler things that you can advertise up front. And they're like, oh yeah, I'll spend an extra, $20 a night for this place that has this really cool thing and that really cool thing and this really cool thing. So I feel like it just fits me better.
Yeah.
None of that really helps get to the point of, the class I'm teaching coming up.
No. I was going to circle back to that in just a second, though. But I love that you talked about that progression, because that finding that avenue that aligns with you the best, sometimes that can be kind of a painful process. But when you find it, how happy are you now doing what you do? Oh,
so much. I had a phone call today just in my business and left so excited. Like, you leave these phone calls and I'm like, yeah, this is cool. I'm doing something and this is fun. I didn't really have those moments when I was calling contractors on a flip.
Yeah.
Hey, this plumbing still isn't done right. Can you get over here? I didn't leave that phone call being like, yes, man.
I'm inspired.
Inspired.
Let's go do it. But if I could just kind of touch on that, to me, that really illustrates the power of the Renatus education, especially because, one, there's so many different paths out there. There's so many different tools in the Renatus tool belt that you can find something that will work for you, and it may not be the thing. And at the same time, you can find things that may not be your ultimate end goal of what I'm going to do, but that help you make money in the interim as you're transitioning from a full-time job to a real estate investor or business owner. People's passion may not lie in real estate, but this is a vehicle. And there's so many different ways in the Renatus education that it can be a vehicle to help them get to whatever it is that they ultimately want to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's kind of the analogy of the toolbox, that the Renatus education is like a toolbox. You still have to wield the tool, but until you actually try, sometimes you don't know if it fits or not. Yeah. But let's go back. You know what? Lisa's on here right now, and she said Randall's short-term rental classes were amazing. I updated some of my procedures in mind. Love the foldable flat high chair.
Oh, I love that high chair. Isn't it great? It's so easy to clean.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
I didn't even.
Yeah, I don't know what she's referring to.
I don't either, but
that's hilarious.
It rocks.
Awesome. Yeah.
So let's go backwards a little bit. Before you got into short-term rentals, before you got into fixing and flipping, before you even left Renatus, one of the things that really helped one of the things that you became incredibly proficient in was velocity banking. So you learned this strategy, and you were the first person that I saw really grab onto this thing and analyze it inside and out. Tell me, what are the benefits that you have found of velocity banking?
I mean, obviously the biggest thing is being able to get rid of debt, right? Like in real estate investing, in this wealthy mindset that we have in the Renatus community, debt is not a bad thing, right? Like, we use debt as a tool as long as we're using good debt.
Right.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, eventually you want to get rid of it all.
Mm-hmm.
You may use it now in your acquisition strategies or whatever, but at some point you don't want to be, or at least I don't, I guess I shouldn't speak for anyone else. I don't want to be beholden to anyone else. When I imagine the dream, it's not, in fact, can I go off on a segue here?
Do it.
So I recently had a conversation with some family members, And it was a little eye-opening to me because I kind of just assume everyone has the exact same thought process as I have.
We all do.
But the question came...
No, we all assume that we have...
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that sounded so funny though.
The question came up, if you got $5 million, what would you do with it, kind of a thing, right? Which I think is a common question that we all ask ourselves sometimes.
Sure.
It can be a different amount of money. What if I got $1 million? What if I got 100,000
Right.
today? What if I got $12 billion? Like, what would you do? And we were just kind of throwing that around the group and everyone's talking. And it was interesting to me that some of my family member that I kind of all assumed have the exact same perspective on life as I do were saying things like, well, that's not enough money. Why even throw around this hypothetical dream scenario if you're not going to throw enough money to be set for life? Because in their mind, 5 million, you'll outlive, right?
Oh,
yeah,
because
if it's a pile
whittle it
of
down
money
every
in the,
single month.
Yeah, like if
That's
it's
interesting.
a pile in the bedroom, then yes.
And that's how they were viewing it, is this pile, or more importantly, well, I have this big toy. Like the yacht I want to buy is $20 million, so I can't, like 5 million's not enough. Like I can't at least give me 20 million.
You know what I would do? My answer is easy. I would buy real estate.
Buy real estate.
That's what I would do with $5 million.
Buy cash flowing assets, right? $5 million, I can buy enough assets that I can be set for the rest of my life. So anyways,
I'd also buy some new socks because I need new socks.
Oh, dude, I went through that in December. I needed new socks for so long.
Yeah.
How did we start talking about socks?
Just told my wife the only thing I want for Christmas is, because I had socks that I didn't realize. I thought I just got older and my feet stink all the time. I didn't realize different socks are made out of different materials and react differently.
You totally got to. And by the way, just new socks. Okay, look. Don't skimp on socks and toilet paper, and you will live like a king. Okay,
that's true in short-term rentals too. Don't skip on your toilet paper.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
So
you were saying.
Coming back to answer your question that led me to the segue, the dream for me is nothing that I am required to pay money for at any point. Like to get to a point where my electricity is paid for by myself, like I'm generating my own electricity, where I have no debts that I have to pay for. And obviously, there's limitations to this. I'm a technophile. I love technology. I'm always going to have to pay for internet and for cell phone. There's not a way for me to do that for myself. But to eliminate as much as possible in my life of things that I have to pay. So velocity banking is a huge key part of eliminating debt. But deeper than that, it's really just a mind shift. It's a different way to view money, a different way. And I think for many people, velocity banking is their first foray into this new mindset of viewing money as this tool, viewing money as a way to achieve your dreams. That's not just like, I don't know how to explain it. But
buying your way to happiness.
Yeah, it's not buying your way to happiness.
They understand how to actually make their money work for them.
Yes, that. And so I feel like velocity banking is one of the first ways that really helps illustrate this mind shift to people especially when they're new to the education, to real estate investing, to Renatus. This is that first mind shift changer for them, where they're like, oh, we need to be looking at our money differently. We need to look at our bank account differently. We need to look at debt differently and use it as a tool. So
yeah. I remember watching you delve into the strategy and really just tear it apart and find out all of the benefits, all of the cautionary areas where you got to be really, really careful. And I remember, and then the best part is that you taught me as you were delving into this, I was able to apply the strategy in my own finances, and I was able to save enough money that I bought 4 more properties with it. Actually 5 more properties. And they're cash flowing. I still own them. I love them.
Awesome.
And so I remember the benefit of understanding that strategy so thoroughly that you can seriously, it almost becomes like a game. You take the emotion out of it and it becomes an equation where you're like, if I do this and this, then I can actually save here and I can make this work for me here. And I just remember that feeling, kind of like you said, that mindset shift of going from I work for my money to now my money works for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, game makes sense like that, because that's how I actually have referred to the education is basically life is a chessboard, from a financial standpoint, and you need to know how all the pieces move. And until you know how all the pieces move, you can't really play the game, right? Yeah. So I love that you did that, because that's so the way I see it. It's just you got to have that knowledge to know how this game is played in order to beat it.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, who will most benefit from understanding velocity banking?
Any human that wants to achieve some type of financial freedom at some point in their life.
No, you can't say financial freedom.
You can't say financial freedom. Can't say a human who wants to achieve financial freedom.
You can't want financial freedom.
You can't want
I'm
financial freedom. All right.
Who wants to be educated financially?
So
be empowered financially.
No, none of that. So specifically, I guess it's most beneficial early on, especially to anybody who has debt that they want to get rid of. Anyone who feels like I can't get on top of my debt payments. You know, I'm on this new path to generating wealth in my life and for my family, but I still have my old baggage of my old ways before I knew, and I have this credit card debt and I have this debt and that debt. And even, you know, just house debt, which, you know, I wouldn't say is bad debt, but it's good debt, but it's still something you eventually want to get rid of so that you own your house free and clear. So I think that's most, and especially the part of velocity banking that I'm going to be teaching in my class is for people with debt. There's obviously one of the greatest things about velocity banking is it has a flip side of it. You turn the coin around and you use it as a debt or as an asset acquisition strategy instead of a debt payoff strategy.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that's a really good way to put it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And so like, that's really cool, but we have advanced velocity banking in Renatus, and that's what kind of covers that part of it.
Yeah.
But especially the part I'm going to be talking about is mostly about this debt elimination stuff.
Right on. So how long have you been applying velocity banking in your own life business?
Oh, geez, I don't know. When did this all happen?
It's probably like 2016.
Oh, I think it was a little
15,
maybe 15,
maybe 15,
somewhere in that era.
I feel like we were in this building when we
were definitely in this building.
Yeah,
and I know what house I lived in, and I remember where I was sitting when I watched the call to the first time I learned about it.
Right.
And I remember then, as soon as that call was done, hanging up, opening up Excel, and then spending the next week just, okay, does this really work how I was just taught it does?
I remember that because you built like a whole calculator and spreadsheet and everything.
Not the ancestor. What do you call it when they're downline to you? Not your ancestor, but your
progeny. That sounds like a real word.
Progeny of which is the current calculator that's in the back office right now.
Absolutely. That calculator was the sum of all of those different testing and trying to figure it out. And then just really, I built it for myself, right? And it's funny because I could have built a single static spreadsheet for myself, but I was wanting to test hypothetical situations. Well, what happens if we go and buy this property and this property and this rental property? How fast could I pay them off?
Yeah.
And so I needed it to be flexible. And once it was flexible enough to put in whatever numbers you want, well, might as well share it and let other people put in their numbers.
Yeah. One of my favorite parts about the Epics Real Estate Conference that we just had was when that one gentleman who was sitting over there on the far left was like, hey, so, can you show me like the calculator? And you're like, yeah, we'll cover that in the class. And he's like, no, I want you to like show me how to use the calculator. And we're like, you know what? Why don't you hang out for a minute and Randall will walk you through it. And so you're just like, yeah, let's do this. And you just walk him through the whole thing.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Can I ask, was it a positive outcome for him?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right on.
And I think he had seen some of those numbers. There was just a little bit of confusion on the exact technicalities of where you put it in. Gotcha. It sounds like he had kind of been taught in a very specific way. You had to enter numbers in a certain order, and just realizing, it doesn't matter. You can just put them in.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. Right on. Well, I know that you have had an opportunity to teach several people in Renatus, hundreds of people in Renatus, this strategy, and you've been employing it now in your own life and business for 8-9 years, something like that. And I'm just excited to see you continue to expand your influence and impact with individuals through the application of velocity banking.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think you're going to do a great job. Lisa thinks you're going to do a great job too.
I do too.
I think Lisa's going to do a great job.
I think
whatever she's doing today, I think she's going to do amazing.
I think you're going to do fantastic.
Can I just put in a little pitch right here for the thing? So I know that people register online and there's a lot of streaming of the class online. For those people that live around here locally, one of the things that we always do in the velocity banking class, and we will be doing again, is we invite a couple people to come up on stage and do their real world numbers in front of everyone. And it takes a lot of courage to do that.
Were you going to say guts with a B? I thought that's what
But let me just say, if there's anybody who's wanting a one-on-one, personalized, basically coaching me to shape your velocity banking strategy in your life, come to the class.
and come armed with your numbers.
Yep. I'll be sending people out to get their numbers at lunch, but if you come prepared, you'll be that much ahead of the group.
Nice. That sounds awesome. That sounds really, really cool. So is there anything else that people should be doing in preparation for the class?
I mean, anyone who's going to watch the class, anyone who wants to apply velocity banking, it's collecting their financial information. I'm not going to go into great details, but knowing how much they spend on stuff, knowing what their debts look like, what their payments on those debts are, all of that kind of stuff. The more information they have, the better prepared they'll be to implement it in their life.
Does somebody have to own a home in order to apply the strategy?
Absolutely not.
All right. Does this, well, I was going to ask another question, but it doesn't really matter. So, all right, I'm excited for the class. I think it's going to be an awesome opportunity for those people who have maybe learned velocity banking but have not yet applied it.
Mm-hmm.
Randall is going to give you the steps, the process, and the pattern that you need to follow in order to apply it successfully in your life.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. It's going to be
Me
awesome.
too.
Yep.
I can't wait to see what I teach.
Yeah, me too. There's one, I guess, potential downside to velocity banking, and that's if you don't have impulse control or money control, you can end up in a lot of a deep financial hole.
Well, so
if you end up with lines of credit available to you and you can't not spend
that's kind of the byline of Renatus, right?
Yes. So you must do it responsibly. It's a tool.
It is.
It's a hammer, and you can hit the nail or you can hit your toe. So yeah.
I was gonna say thumb, but it still stands.
Well,
you can hit any of your digits, and it's going to hurt.
Yes.
So you have to use it and use it responsibly.
Yep.
Like Bob likes to say, inside of real estate investing, there is no ceiling.
Right.
Inside of real estate investing, there is no floor.
Thus why it's important to know how the pieces move.
Yes.
And operate with responsibility,
integrity, accountability.
Yes, absolutely.
Disclosing, disclaiming, and just being disciplined about your approach.
Yes.
Yeah.
Being disciplined.
Make your bed.
Make your bed. Yep. Don't buy those socks when you can't afford to,
I can't believe we wrapped it back around the socks.
Yes. Yes. Call in with your questions.
Don't.
That's hilarious.
Just don't. Everybody on the line, just don't.
I thought that
please.
said stock experts, and I was like, where'd that come from? None of us know crap about stocks.
I know about stonks. Buy game, what is it?
You're too late, man. That's like 5 years too late.
Wow.
GameStop? What was it?
GameStop is the name of the company.
GameStop.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Buy GameStop.
Don't come to Matt with your stock questions
or your stunk questions.
Yeah, I didn't know they stonks. That was like a thing. I don't know anything about stock. All right, I'm not gonna pretend like I do.
Before we get going NASCAR style ovals here, let's go ahead and end the call. Randall, thank you for being with us. Thank you for sharing. Can't wait to see you back here on Friday.
Thanks. It's been fun being here. Thanks for having me.
It's going to be awesome. All right, for the rest of y'all, we will see you at the national conference. Randall's going to be there. Matt's going to be there. I'm going to be there, and you hopefully will be too. Don't forget, Renatus rocks because of the people that are associated with it, and that includes each one of you. Renatus rocks.
Yeah.